Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday, June the 16th. Lovely to have you in for another episode where we are talking about the biggest offseason questions that the Tennessee Titans may have answered or may not have answered based on what they were able to do, the personnel that they were able to sign, the draft picks that they were able to make. We've spent the better part of February through June trying to figure out what does this team need? Well, that was a pretty easy one to answer. Everything was the answer to that. How much better can this team get year over year? And how much of those issues are exclusively personnel as opposed to, well, if the quarterback just stops throwing interceptions every 6 downs, then maybe the team generally will improve. If you just equalize the quarterback play or the disaster that was the quarterback play, does this end up being just a 5 or 6 win team by extension as opposed to the worst team in the league? There's a lot of questions revolving around the Tennessee Titans, and there will continue to be questions. We understand this about this particular football team until such time as we get a really baseline understanding of who they are, how they want to run things, how Cam fits into everything that they're trying to do, or rather how they fit everything around Cam Ward, which should be, of course, the appropriate approach when you have the number 1 overall pick at quarterback. So we're going to work through a couple of those things tonight. They're headlined by the wide receiver and the cornerback room because I do think that those are the two most pressing. I think a lot of you would have said edge prior to the offseason beginning. I think a lot of you may still say edge, even though you're feeling pretty confident about Femi Oladejo, maybe just based on how he looks, because he certainly looks the part. Or somebody like Draymond Jones, when you hear Denard Wilson glowing about him, or year 2 for Devondre Sweat and Jarvis Brownlee, 2 promising 2024 rookies that played substantial roles, certainly more substantial roles than, at least in the case of Brownlee, he was ever expected to play. So we'll dive into all of those things together. We'll look forward to that. Bert's got it in case you missed it at the end of the show. Amar says finally something to get our minds off the apocalypse happening overseas. Yeah, I've actually got CNN on right now in the studio as I watch some of the coverage from over the weekend. Just awful stuff between Israel and Iran. And I'm somebody who has family in the Middle East. I'm Middle Eastern. I'm half Egyptian. Egypt and Israel obviously share a border. I was trying to plan a trip to Egypt next summer. I don't know how feasible that's going to be. So it's just constant tragedy over there in the Middle East. It makes me very, very sad to see some of those images. So anything that we can do to keep your mind off of it or to distract you from all of the woes and ills that are going on in real life, well, perhaps we can provide that slight distraction for you for the next 25 to 30 minutes as we answer some of these questions. So let's go ahead and dive in. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday night. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the wonderful people at Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, online at tworiversford.com. Employee pricing for everyone is what they offer at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online, like I said, at tworiversford.com for more details. And, of course, by True Math Fitness in the Gulch, where your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. True Math Fitness goes above and beyond to help you achieve your fitness goals. TrueMathFitness.com for that first workout free. So it's good to see you guys as more of you start to pile in here. We'll go ahead and get the show off and rolling. I don't think I told you tonight to share the show, but you know the routine. Go ahead and share the broadcast around, like the video if you're hanging out on YouTube. And more of you will join us as we continue. But as we headed into this Titans offseason this time around, when the season ended after the first week in January, when we knew that there was 0% chance of any postseason hopes basically by October, where we knew that the Titans were then going to pick number 1 overall, where we knew the dialogue about this team would be, all right, who's getting fired? The answer was Rand. Who should be fired as opposed to who actually got fired? The answer is probably all of them. But Brian Callahan, Chad Brinker in particular, both of those two were retained. They brought in Mike Borgonzi. That answered one question of the offseason. All right, who's going to be responsible for piecing this roster back together? Answer is Mike Borgonzi. And ironically enough, he was on the opposite end of one of the most detrimental deals that Rand Carthon made during his time here, which was the acquisition of L'Jarius Sneed, which is going to be part of our discussion here tonight. So Mike Borgonzi comes in here after shipping L'Jarius. He played it smartly. He played it very well. He got rid of an asset that was an asset at the time that was going to get paid at the top of the market or pretty close to it. And he got rid of it arguably at the peak of its powers. L'Jarius Sneed has not been the same player since he arrived in Tennessee, and that was prior to the injury, of course. Now you have Mike Borgonzi. Okay, well, what are they going to do at quarterback? Because the answer sure as hell isn't Will Levis. All right, well, we'll go through the offseason process. We'll take our time. There will be some early debate, but by basically the end of Combine, it would be almost a sure thing that Cam Ward was going to be the number one overall pick to the Tennessee Titans. And the Titans organization has talked about that at that length. Okay, so that answers the question, who are they going to task with playing quarterback? Whether or not that player will succeed at quarterback is a different matter. And obviously that's something that, like many questions that we're waiting for answers on with the Tennessee Titans, it's going to be some time before we have any definitive answer about that. And it may not even be this season, right? Will Levis left us after his rookie year, making us think, okay, that guy, he looks like he at least belongs at the NFL level. A bit of fool's gold type of situation that his first NFL start, that Falcons game, bought him a good deal of runway before, of course, the catastrophic implosion that would be his full season as a starting quarterback, which he was not even able to complete because he both got hurt and then got benched. It's a complicated situation. Then they have to fill out everything else around the roster, the offensive line, the pass rush, the quarterback room, the wide receivers. So many different questions. How many of those actually got answered this offseason? We'll talk about it together. But that is where we will start with your Two Rivers Ford take on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. What's the biggest question from the Titans offseason? So that can be a question that you had going in that you don't feel like they answered. That could be a question that you feel may have emerged that you might not have been thinking about otherwise. It may be something that you have specifically about Cam Ward or any of the other pieces and parts. It may be about the coaching staff. It may be still about Amy Adams-Strunk. There is no limit on what this can encompass, but it is, what is the biggest question that you have about the Tennessee Titans from a football team standpoint, organizational standpoint, how they're doing business, how everything else is working, not just the football players, even if you just want to ask questions about the football players. Those are completely fair. Those are on the table. Any and all offseason questions that you have, ask me your most pressing one, or submit your most pressing one in the comments. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. It's your Two Rivers Ford take. As always, it's presented by the South's most trusted Ford dealer, Two Rivers Ford, quality American-made Ford vehicles. You know this. And what you may not know, or what I think you should know, because I feel like I've been telling you about it frequently enough, is that they offer you employee pricing for everyone at Two Rivers Ford. That means you pay what they pay on almost every new Ford on the lot. Great deals, great financing, great customer service. It literally wins awards and quality American-made Ford vehicles. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more details. So what's the biggest question that you have about the Titans organizationally, quarterback-wise, coaching-wise, front office-wise, roster-wise, coming out of this offseason program? For Kendall, he says, I know the NFL would love another mid-market team to blow up like the Chiefs did. Cam can do it for us. That's an interesting way to put it, because I don't think the NFL is more interested in star power than they are in small market success, right? They're never going to get ratings from the Tennessee Titans, from the Tennessee Titans fan base. But what they can get from a star on the Tennessee Titans is a Derrick Henry like ripple effect. So I think maybe don't look at it from the market size, just look at it from an individual standpoint. Obviously, Kansas City is not one of the biggest NFL markets, but like the Chiefs have been around for a long, long time. It's like saying Green Bay is a small market team. Yes, technically Green Bay is the smallest of the NFL markets, but it is arguably as big a fan base as any franchise in the NFL not named the Dallas Cowboys. There are Green Bay Packers. I would very easily guess that there are way more Green Bay Packers fans everywhere else in the country, and arguably in the American football consuming world, than there are actually in Green Bay, Wisconsin, right? So the market size only matters when it comes to television ratings. The NFL is interested in star power that can supersede those television ratings, because Tennessee Titans fans, there's just not that many of them, to be completely honest with you, like actual fans of the franchise relative to the bigger brand names. The Chiefs are a significantly bigger brand than the Tennessee Titans organization was. Now, if they were still the Oilers, maybe you could make that argument, but they're the Tennessee Titans, which is still connected to the Oilers, but not necessarily. People don't do that association with that carryover from 1960, from the origins of the franchise to who the franchise is now. I think about the Tennessee Titans for the last, 28, 27 years of professional football. And there have been some good stretches in there for sure, whether it's Jeff Fisher or Mike Mularkey or Mike Vrabel, who made some decent runs throughout the course of their tenures. Small market is not as important as star power. Derrick Henry overcame that. He played in a small market and nobody cared because Derrick Henry is singular. Derrick Henry is a star. Derrick Henry is the best player at his position. I don't know if Cam Ward can do that. Patrick Mahomes obviously can. Dick on YouTube says, my biggest question is, will Callahan ever stop splitting Ward's reps with Levis? Well, they've already stopped splitting it outright, and that stopped basically in the final week of OTAs into the week of mandatory minicamp that we just concluded last week, where Cam was at least getting the bulk of the reps. There's no disputing that he was quarterback one, and they're not going to drag this thing out into training camp, right? Because all reps are critical, but now when they come back in 6 weeks from now, it will be at a paramount. It will be at a premium. They have to give all the snaps to the quarterback who's going to play the vast majority of the snaps for them, provided that he doesn't get injured, and that is Cam Ward. Nate B says, I was incredibly disappointed this guy was given a new contract. Which guy are you talking about? Are you talking about somebody on your roster? You'll have to expand there, Nate. I'm not sure who specifically. Was it Brinker or Borgonzi or who got? I mean, they didn't have that many people with new contracts on this roster. I mean, they did sign some free agents, but it's nothing crazy, right? Now, how many did they really even retain? Sebastian Joseph Day, unless you're talking about something other than the football team. And if you are, you need to clarify that because I'm not sure. Narn says, are we actually going to ever have a year-over-year best receiver in football? You did. You've had that, right? You had A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, I would argue, is still A.J. Brown. I don't know. Jamar Chase is the best receiver in football, but I think A.J. Brown's 1B. I think he's better than Justin Jefferson. I think he's done it with less than Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. I think that if A.J. Brown had Joe Burrow, he would probably be putting up Jamar Chase type numbers. He's excellent. He is excellent. He's now a Super Bowl champion after the Philadelphia Eagles' most recent win in the Super Bowl over the Kansas City Chiefs. So, yes, are you ever going to have one? You did, and you gave him away. I know you didn't give him away, but your organization gave him away. So, that's not terribly heartening, but it's just kind of the situation that you find yourself in. Richie says, Harold Landry is going to have a day against Dan Moore. Well, that's quite some time off, and that's not necessarily a question. Maybe your question is about the offensive line strength, which, again, it's probably too early to determine. Now, Harold Landry, I don't know. Maybe Harold saves it all up for the Patriots game in Week 7, for the Titans-Patriots game in Week 7, comes out swinging and has a career day. I have no idea. But the Harold Landry that I've seen for the past couple of years for the Tennessee Titans does not have that kind of juice, even if Dan Moore isn't the best left tackle in football. Like, Harold's not beating dudes one-on-one like that. Now, can he still? Probably. He's only 29. I think he's definitely less than 30 at this point in his career. But I don't know. That explosiveness, that pass rush explosiveness, that ability to beat blockers one-on-one is something that I don't think Harold's done at a high level, at a consistent level in quite some time. The biggest questions that I had are about the quarterback room, and I did not think that was going to be something that we were still pondering over and stewing over, this much investment into the Titans secondary, because they signed Chido Awuzie to a 3-year deal. They cut him 1 year into that 3-year deal. They traded for L'Jarius Sneed and then paid him. L'Jarius Sneed played 5 games last year. I don't think Roger McCreary is going to end up being retained here. I don't think that's Roger's fault. I think he's a fine player, but I think that's a product of them having Jarvis Brownlee on the roster, Jarvis Brownlee being a more cost-effective nickel option than Roger would be if they paid him a big second contract, because a lot of those dudes are getting paid at a pretty high level, and this is a pretty cash-poor team. They have cap space, but I don't think they have – I know they don't have cash on hand. In fact, I think that you guys are very aware of Amy Adams Strunk's financial situation. Maybe not like to a decimal point, but you're aware that she's one of the more cash poor, or they are one of the more cash poor ownership groups in the league. they have a couple of different things that they're having to mull over, which is what makes the contract situation for Sneed and Ridley and all these other guys that they gave a bunch of big money deals to, some who panned out, but most who didn't. It makes it even more problematic because the money goes up and you have to have the cash on hand to be able to pay those guys out. Sneed is Narn asks if he is a possible cut candidate. No, I do not think so. No, I mean he's what Will Levis is at this point. He's a sunk cost unless you can get somebody to take him off your hands. And I don't think that anybody's going to be willing to take L'Jarius Sneed, given his circumstance, off your hands.
Probably not this week, no.
Do you feel the need to add another veteran in that room with Sneed kind of being up in the air?
I think again that's a position that we if the right guys are available and we can add them, we'll look to add them. I think you can never have enough corners because inevitably that's where injuries occur, especially during training camp. On top of it, the more corners you can have, the better. So there's certainly our eyes are always to the wire, trying to see what's available and who might fit.
How much do you feel like you can rely on Sneed, given the injuries and the off-the-field issues?
I think everything that he's shown us when he's here has been fantastic, and there's a track record of success as well from what he has been as a player. But he's also got to prove that here too. He hasn't done that yet for us, so there's a little bit of that as well. Like we're waiting for him to show us, the player that he's been. He hasn't reached that level of play for us, and so we're waiting for that opportunity to occur. And I think he'll be ready for it when it comes. But his track record of success and what he's been as a player is pretty well documented. We just hope we need to get that version of him out here for us.
It's not like an indictment of L'Jarius Sneed, but it is the circumstance. They did not get what they traded for. They did not get what they paid for. They got 5 games of I don't even know that I would call him league average in those games. I mean, he was fine. He was not good. He was not awful, but he was not good either. He was not 2-time Super Bowl champion L'Jarius Sneed when he arrived in two-tone blue, which was my whole thing. Like, I don't care how many rings he's won. When he was in Kansas City, what you should care about and what somebody in my business cares about is, all right, what is he going to do now? And what he did last year was play poorly or play not up to his standard is probably the better way that I should put it. Get injured, which was not his fault, but then get himself into a potentially problematic, again, because they're allegations until there is an actual grand jury indictment as opposed to one just lingering over his head, or potential grand jury indictment that's ongoing from this lawsuit that was filed in February from the issue that he caught himself up in December. He has really, really been disappointing. He's not the most disappointing Titans transaction in the last 5 years because A.J. Brown trade and Isaiah Wilson drafted and Caleb Farley and Traylon Burks and all these different things. So you can't, he doesn't even make the medal stand as far as disappointing Titans transactions because they've been so bad at so many different things related to the assembly of talent on their roster. But he has contributed to the problem far more than he has helped. And that in and of itself is an issue. That is why the cornerback position headlines the biggest uncertainty that I think that there is on this roster, because internally they don't feel good about the L'Jarius Sneed situation. And I'm sure Mike Borgonzi is probably sweating it a little bit. He should be, because he took a job as a first-time NFL general manager, but he sold a bill of goods to the Tennessee Titans, who bought willingly and foolishly on what he was selling, which is a corner with a degenerative knee condition that had probably played his best football for the best defensive coordinator in the NFL currently, Steve Spagnuolo, on arguably one of the league's best defenses, depending on which metrics that you're looking at, but certainly like a top 10 defense collectively, as opposed to just one player. I think L'Jarius Sneed still has skills that he can bring to the table, but he is not what he was, and he's not surrounded by what he was in Kansas City. So it's a real problem for them that Jarvis Brownlee and Darrell Baker and I'm going to butcher the name of the Cowboys corner that they signed, the former second-round pick, but it starts with an A. I'm not gonna attempt it right now. I need to get a phonetic pronunciation guide of it before I even take a run at it. But they continue to sign corners, right? They continue to churn their corner depth. They continue to look at options, because right now Sneed is not a viable practice option. And there's at least some reason to suspect that he may not be available in 2025 at some point, whether that's immediately, whether that's because there's a personal conduct policy violation that will be associated with his legal troubles coming. All these different things, whether it's the quad injury, not even the knee situation that they traded him for. So, like, Mike Borgonzi's probably not feeling great about it. In fact, I know Mike Borgonzi's not feeling great about it because he sold high on Sneed and won that, and then he took a job with the same organization that he sold Sneed high to, and now it's his problem again, which is not a situation that I'm sure the first-year general manager wants to be in. But if the quarterback hits, then Mike Borgonzi is probably sleeping a little better at night. Ben Hall says of the Callahan commentary, that sounded like I'm not hurt, I'm just disappointed. Yeah, I think that's that. I don't know. You guys would answer that question better than I would. Like if you're actually upset about the Sneed thing, or if you're just disappointed, or maybe you felt like this was how it was always going to go. You have some level of PTSD. I know that wouldn't be the first time that Titans fans have had a PTSD, a flare-up related to a roster transaction. But it's just generally disappointing at this point in time. And you really needed that guy to be a game changer. He was anything but. All right, the second question that we are going to ask you guys here tonight is there is a 6-part Cam Ward docuseries coming out on the free streaming service called Tubi. This was first reported by Variety this morning, and it is something that I'm curious to get your thoughts on. So, fair or foul, Cam Ward as the subject of a 6-part docuseries that will air on Tubi this fall. Let me know your feeling on it. If you are cool with your quarterback doing this, if you are not a fan of preseason marketing before NFL games have been played, before performance would do the marketing for you, what is your position on Cam Ward's docuseries? Do you believe it to be fair, or do you think it is foul? We will talk about it together in the comment section right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch, where you go for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. TrueMav is there to guide you through the process of maximizing your fitness goals. I love it. I think it's a great setup. I think their coaching staff is awesome. I don't think that. I know that. It's proven. They get results. They will get results for you. They will do it specifically for you as opposed to just a generic workout plan. No workout ever recycled or repeated. The TrueMav Fitness difference is clear and obvious to everyone. To TrueMavFitness.com for your first workout free. All right, fair or foul, the 6-part Tubi documentary on Cam Ward's rise from 0-star recruit to the number 1 overall pick in the draft. So this is the reporting from Variety, and I'll read you directly from the article. The name of the documentary is called 0-Star, the Cam Ward story. And like I said, it's going to document his story leading up to the NFL draft. What the brand name is Firebrand Media Group, working on a doc about Ward as the first episode of a larger 0-Star series. So he's the first in what they hope to be a long line of these, though I think his story is pretty unique. And they could not get a major streaming platform to buy it. So they took it to Tubi, which is a free advertisement-based streaming platform that does have content, but it's not premium content by any stretch of the imagination. Tubi is definitely it's below in the world of Disney Plus and Amazon Prime and Apple and all these other things, HBO, Netflix. They're not interested in the 0-star recruit story, but we'll take it to Tubi and we'll see how it does. And this is the quote from Firebrand director and partner Alec Roth. Cam's journey isn't just about football. It's about heart, belief, and the power of second chances. This series gives viewers an unfiltered look at a young man who was told no at every stage, yet refused to quit. From backyard games in West Columbia, Texas, to draft night glory, Cam's story unfolds across 6 episodes filled with raw emotion, defining moments, and behind-the-scenes access. It's a modern hero's journey and a blueprint for anyone who's ever felt overlooked. Now, let me say this on the front end. Cam's story is it's compelling. It's absolutely compelling. My issue with it is And I know many of you probably saw or maybe heard what I said about it on the radio. Maybe you saw what I wrote for A2ZSports.com, where I took out a position against it because I think it's foul. I don't think that Cam Ward, who hasn't played a single snap of NFL football, who does have a unique story, but it's very well documented at this point. I don't think that Cam Ward and the profile of Cam Ward and the story of Cam Ward is deserving of the same amount of parts of a docuseries as Michael Jordan's The Last Dance. The Last Dance was 6 parts. Cam Ward's journey to the NFL draft is 6 parts. Tiger Woods' story, HBO told effectively, beautifully, and intelligently in 2 parts. Tom Brady had a 10-part documentary series. He's Tom Brady. He's the greatest quarterback to ever live. This guy, and while I don't fault, I'm sure Cam got compensated for it. That's fine. Not mad at the young man for making money. I just think that it's not the same as the Levis mayonnaise campaign, but it is an example of a Titans quarterback's marketing getting ahead of their production. He hasn't done anything in the NFL. If Cam Ward turns the Tennessee Titans around as the number 1 overall pick as a part of this story, if he achieves what a franchise quarterback is supposed to achieve as the number 1 overall pick, then it becomes a story worthy of documentary series. But even then, I think if you can tell, if you only need 2 episodes to do Tiger Woods, Cam Ward's journey from high school doesn't take 6. And it's not, I know Lucas and Robert on the radio show today described me as a hater or all these different things. And that's fine. Maybe I am. But I do hate the idea of documentary series on a player who hasn't accomplished anything as a professional. Because that's what the ultimate goal is. The work does. He said it himself. It's why I'm surprised, honestly, that Cam Ward is taking part in this because of who he is. I know this player to be genuine in what he says about, it doesn't matter where you get drafted. The work begins once you get drafted by whomever you get drafted by. That was his line the whole way through it. I still believe that that's very much at the core of who he is. I don't think that this is a real issue or anything like that. I just think it's unnecessary. And so while I do think, because Richie says he accomplished being the number 1 overall pick from being a 0-star recruit, and again, that is admirable. That is absolutely admirable. But if it had an actual audience, it wouldn't be on Tubi. If anybody actually cared about this story, there's not a reason to really care about this story. Like, I can read this story. I've read it several times over. It's really the most known thing about Cam Ward, his journey to this place. Narn says, aren't there like 20 YouTube documentaries about the rise to the number 1 overall pick? I don't know. I haven't researched it that thoroughly. Ocho said, did the Bears get a Hard Knocks after Caleb got drafted? Yes, they absolutely did. That's the Chicago Bears. That's a national fan base. The Tennessee Titans are not. He plays for a franchise that is very forgettable in Tennessee. He is somebody who I would argue is one of the most, if not the most forgotten number 1 overall picks of all time because of everything else that happened in his draft class or around him. And maybe that all looks foolish after Cam Ward's career is done, but Cam Ward's career hasn't even really started yet. He's thrown a couple of practice passes to Calvin Ridley. He's talked some shit at practice to Jeff Simmons before the pads come on. That, to me, it's not even the beginning of his NFL career. Training camp in earnest will be the beginning of his NFL career. Once he's truly tested and put in adverse situations and how he can overcome these things. He can thrive and meet the moment. Pistol Grip says he's going to live up to it. And there's nothing wrong with you having that belief or being in your guy's corner, all these things. And you can be pissed at me for not being interested in it. It's not that I'm not interested in it. It's just, I don't think it's necessary. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's completely unnecessary. And it's to me another example of marketing before actual production. I'm a little disappointed that he's participating in something like this. Now, maybe this was in the works long before. Maybe this will become more commonplace with name, image, and likeness athletes and how everything is turned into a documentary series. It's like, to me, you know what this is like to me, honestly? And again, it's not a one-to-one comparison, but it's somewhere between Will Levis's mayonnaise campaign before he done shit in the NFL, and then, of course, the collapse. It's somewhere between the mayonnaise commercials and Shedeur Sanders getting his jersey retired at Colorado. What the hell did Shedeur Sanders do to get his jersey retired at Colorado? Other than, win more games for a program that was forgotten. And that matters. But like, there's players on the national championship team from Colorado that still don't have their jersey retired. Shedeur Sanders, that's entitlement to me. Bless Coast Seeds says, if he ends up being a great NFL player, then this won't age well, Buck. Like, I give a shit. It may not age well, or it may look like it didn't age well, but it's still correct. Accomplish something as a pro. If this, that, and the other, one, I don't, if I cared about how things aged as far as my opinion goes, I wouldn't do sports media for a living, especially 4 hours a day on camera in some form or fashion for you all to clip this and aggregate this. And that's happened to me a million times over. And that's fine. Like, it doesn't bother me. I don't have a problem being wrong if this person goes out and proves it. But my whole point is a 6-part documentary series, the same amount of documentary parts as Michael Jordan, is not necessary for a player who just got there. So to me, it is foul. I reserve the right to hold that opinion. I think that Cam Ward is perfectly capable of succeeding. In fact, I think it's likely, given his mental makeup, his competitive toughness, that he does succeed in some form or fashion. But I don't know. Like, what is success for a first round quarterback? More often than not, just by percentage, less than half of them even win a playoff game. So is that success for Cam Ward? Is that going to be worthy of a documentary series? I think that's, I'm sure Cam is going to be on the radio show at training camp. I'm sure Lucas is, and I would bring this up to him. In fact, when we do the interview, because it will be in August ahead of September, and this thing is set to debut in September, I am going to ask him about this and whether he felt, what was the decision-making process behind it. And, it would be disingenuous for me to have Cam Ward on the radio show and not express my opinion on it, even if I know he doesn't give a shit. Like, I know he doesn't give a single solitary shit how anybody feels about anything that he does, right? He is as unbothered an individual as you could find. And that's great. I'm not looking for him to care about my opinion. All I'm saying is that I'm certain that I'm not the only one who shares that opinion. And I would like for that player to go out and prove that he is worth something other than what he's already proven to be the number 1 overall pick. 6-part docuseries is completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. We'll see. I don't know. It's on Tubi. It's free, so maybe it'll end up getting more views than I expected to. But like, I don't know. Or if it gets a couple of thousand views on Tubi, and I don't know how those things are tracked, or even if they're public, like, I would be surprised. If it had an actual audience, it wouldn't be on Tubi. Anyway, we've spent way too much time on this, as I knew I was going to do, because I know how I feel about it, and I knew that I would take way too much time explaining that. So instead, we will bring Robert in, and we will do In Case You Missed It. What do you got?
Hater, hate.
That's true. I genuinely hate this.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it either, but like, whatever. I got a new headset. I don't have to report it anymore. How you feel about that?
I think I'm a little disappointed. I rather enjoyed that thing just dangling off your head.
Oh, it's somewhere over there. Can you explain this Trader Joe's shit to me? Yes,
Titans fans are talking about masturbating to Cam Ward highlights in the aisles of Trader Joe's.
Can't just take it. No, I wasn't. I just keep seeing all kind of Trader Joe's logos.
Yeah, they're talking about jerking off to Cam Ward highlights.
Anywhere or just
I literally, Teron texted me today about that, and I think I thoroughly confused him. Teron texted me at 5:20 this afternoon, said, "What the heck is the Cam Ward Trader Joe's joke that I'm missing out on?" And I said, "Buddy, they're talking about jerking off to Cam Ward highlights in the aisles of a Trader Joe's because somebody got arrested masturbating in a parking lot of Trader Joe's last January." So yeah, that's the Titans fan base.
I would have WTF the hell out of that if Austin didn't literally say today no F-bombs.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen,
okay, it's fine.
I wouldn't even say that I've seen them do weirder things, but they are y'all are a weird group. I don't know what to do with you half the time, but every time I think that you can't make me scratch my head in confusion more, you do something like tweet Trader Joe's references because you want to masturbate to Cam Ward highlights. So
I'm kind of cool with that as long as y'all have like 2010 and you're doing it in your car. I think if nobody can see you do it, do your thing, but don't be doing it like work or Trader Joe's. If you're into Cam Ward highlights and that's your spiel, then beat on, dude.
Like this guy who is almost assuredly masturbating to Cam Ward highlights. He says, Buck, you are the dumbest dude in Nashville. Arguing Cam Ward doesn't deserve a documentary is literally pathetic. He's not going to have sex with you, bro. Like, he's not going to sleep with you. You can jerk off to his highlights all you want. He's not going to have sex with you. I mean, I hope you and the dozens of other people on Titans Reddit enjoy that Tubi documentary.
Hunter Diddlewell. Well, hopefully.
I'm just glad. I assume. Do you have pants on? You would be the one most likely to be accused of this.
No, I have no pants on.
Yeah,
I can't stand up. Hopefully, none of you are in Trader Joe's or around older relatives because there's more conversation about erection in this Titans conversation than anything we've talked about today.
Hey Titans fans, this is Kellen DeCourcy, project executive with the Tennessee Titans, and we're excited to be here today to share with you some updates on the construction of the new Nissan Stadium. All right, here we are taking a look at the precast stadia erection on the new Nissan Stadium. These precast pieces are what helped create the seating bowl where all of the fans will sit inside new Nissan Stadium. All of these individual pieces are formed and cast off-site to the correct size. They are formed in a plant in Georgia and South Carolina. There's almost 2,400 pieces to be created. Each piece is then brought on site. They are erected at night. We have 2 cranes hooks setting each of the precast stadia pieces at night. Each crane erects around 10 to 12 pieces each night.
Did you play that man talking about erections because we're talking about people jerking off to Cam Ward highlights?
I had that video to play, and I didn't know how we were going to get there. So, yes, facetiously, I asked you what the Trader Joe's stuff was about, even though I knew the entire time. You act like I don't have Lamar Jackson on my team. You act like I hadn't been in a Walmart parking lot and then just seen a Lamar edit that made you shake that leg out.
This is going to get clipped on the internet so quickly, and that is going to be concerning. Me just staring at you with eyes wide open while you do whatever the hell it was that you just did.
Hell yeah. Whatever. See y'all tomorrow. We got a big show tomorrow. I'm excited about our
radio show. Yeah, we've got Lou Riddick. We've got Lou Riddick on the radio show tomorrow. He's a big Cam Ward stan.
Hopefully he hadn't been in Trader Joe's.
I mean, I'm less of a Cam Ward stan than this man who just continues to masturbate to Cam Ward in the comment section, which is very, very concerning. Should we report this? I don't know.
I don't know. The most concerning part of it is the profile picture. I'm not quite sure what that is. It looks like a very soft-eared dog.
I don't want to look too closely because I'm afraid it's going to be a picture of him masturbating to Cam Ward highlights. Like, I don't want to get too close to it at this point in time. All I know is that Louis Riddick is on the radio show tomorrow. We're going to have a great time from 10 to 1. On 104.5 The Zone, William Jones says, Buck, you need to add Lucas's name to the show. No, it's contractually obligated that Lucas is not allowed to have his name on the show. That was something
no names
negotiated into my deal. Just mine, baby. So I think that we will have a great time with Lou Riddick. We will talk to him about Cam Ward. We will talk to BJ Callahan also. Brian, don't call him BJ Callahan, the coach of the Nashville soccer team who has 11 unbeaten results at this point in time, which is apparently a big record, and Lucas is excited about. We're excited about that. Thank God one of these pro sports. It is criminal how ass Nashville pro sports have been, and that the soccer team is carrying the weight of a professional football franchise and a hockey team that are both just back-assward bad.
And the good thing about Nashville SC is like they kind of sucked last year for their standards. Like they had to dive into it, figure it out, and now that they're good again. Like now you can don't have to worry about like Nashville SC being like fandom recession proof. Like they're smart enough to dig themselves out of holes, which is more than you could say about the Preds, the Titans, or anybody else in Nashville.
Yeah, which is something that Titans fans are hoping Cam Ward can rectify for them, because God knows they're going to get themselves into more situations. Their schedule, man. I mean, every time I look at the pass rushers on that schedule next year, this quarterback he's up against it. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, the only way you beat the schedule is having a good team. You know what I mean? When you look at the schedule and you're like, damn, they're better than us, they're better than us, they're better than us. Like the only thing you can do is just keep drafting well, hit free agency the right way, and it just takes time. Like you can't fix all this shit in a year, you know?
So we will look forward to having Louis Riddick hang out with us tomorrow. We will see you guys from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. We will have a great time doing all of those things. And we will – are you doing primetime tomorrow? What's the primetime deal tomorrow? Is Easton?
Easton Freeze, his primetime debut.
Okay, so he is going to take over what Sam was doing for me, which is giving me Tuesday nights off because I enjoy my Tuesday nights. So we appreciate Easton doing that, and we will have one more primetime show on Wednesday this week before we are off on Thursday.
Oh!
Yeah, nobody needs to celebrate Juneteenth more than Robert Lee Walsh.
I'm telling.
Bye-bye.